Hello, Dice Heads, and welcome to episode 4 of Minis and Movies. I am your host, John Spencer, and tonight I'm going to talk about film 11 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in my Avengers initiative that is still ongoing, because, good lord, there's a lot of movies, and only doing these every other week or so means it takes a good half a year to get through them all, which is impressive. I might speed it up a little bit just so I get through them and watch some other stuff more often. But we're talking about Age of Ultron, which is pretty much the end of Phase 2. Maybe Ant-Man's the end of Phase 2, but that's next time. So either way, we're ending up Phase 2 here real quick. And in the mini section, I am going to talk about how to take a break from a game. You know, you've decided you need to take a break or get out of the game. You've decided to take a break. What do you do? I do want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being patrons. Your support helps us keep the lights on. Helps us fund what we do. You know, hosting stuff isn't free, unfortunately, and we occasionally do need to replace equipment and such as it does go bad. My poor headphones have seen better days. They're only about 2.5 years old, so but they get a lot of use here. So you guys help us fund that, and we thank you very much. So Ron, I am drinking water because it is the middle of the day on a normal day, and I don't want to get drunk before I have to go do crazy stuff like go to the grocery store and stuff. That seems like a bad idea. So, let's go into the mini section. Last time I talked about how to get out of a game. Now that's a pretty extreme circumstance. Let's say you've decided you don't want to get out of the game, you just need to take a break from the game. Well, what's the best way to do that? I'm not going to number anything, but I'm going to freeform talk about some of the ways. The most extreme way is just pack all your stuff away, cut off all contact with that game, and just chill. I do not suggest this way because it's kind of extreme, and you won't really know when you're ready to get back into it. Because part of taking a break is you need to do it in a way that you know when you're ready to get back into it. So that's extreme. I wouldn't do that. I have done half of that myself. I've packed my stuff away. It's still local. I could grab it right now if I needed to. But I still keep in contact with all my friends. I've built to that. Still talk to all the War Machine players. You know, I'm still in it, and I feel like that is the way forward. You want to be in it, regardless of what you do. You can just pack away your models. You can do that. Plenty of time for other games. You can also, as a break, just play a different faction. That's sort of a less extreme, the least extreme version, but it may not give you the break you need. You sort of have to decide. You could try switching another faction. I switched from Mercs to Ret, played some games, and realized that was not what I needed, so put them away, and I'm just going to chill for a bit. They're really getting through CID and stuff quick, so I imagine I'll be back in soon, but for what you need to do, you really need to set an idea like, I want this kind of break. When this happens, I'm back in, or I want to take a look and get back in. That's part of why you don't really want to cut everyone off entirely. Because if you cut everyone off entirely, you're not going to know when that happens. It's going to be out of the blue because you're not tied into it. You still want to stay in the hobby, so to speak, if you're planning on coming back. Even if you're not 100% sure you're coming back, you just stay in the hobby because at the very least, you want to talk to all your friends. I mean, they don't care what game you're playing. You know, you can hang out with them regardless. I've talked to all the War Machine players this past weekend. It was a good time chatting with them. These are still people you know and want to chat with. Now, my suggestion for taking a break is playing a different game. You probably own another game to play. Maybe you've been, spending so much time on your miniature games that you just want to paint some models and maybe just play some video games. Do that if you want to. Maybe you've been so much time on miniature game you've neglected your board gaming with people. Do some board games. Maybe you've got a role-playing game that's starting up nearby that you now suddenly have free time to play in. Maybe do that for a bit. Best if that's the case and you're planning on getting back in to do it in such a way that they're doing a limited campaign so you know when it's over so you can jump back into your game. Because role-playing can definitely take you out of it and you can forget when you're supposed to be trying to get back in because you're having a great time role-playing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You can have all the great time role-playing you want. Also, you can just play a different miniatures game. I mean, very few of us own just one miniatures game. Personally, within eyesight, I've got, a good 5. We got War Machine, Infinity, Malifaux. There's some 40k there. And then there's technically that's Age of Sigmar / Fantasy, so that counts. Plus there's an Armada ship there and an X-Wing ship there. So yeah, I got quite a few just in that range. And you can spend some time playing those. Those games that are your secondary games, you can make them your main games for a bit. I was doing a lot of Malifaux for a bit, maybe a bit too hot and heavy since I kinda burnt myself out on it because, a slow grow for my buddies, playing in a slow grow, then running a slow grow for the store kinda burnt me out. But luckily there's a slow grow 40K league at the local store, and I've been playing in that a little bit. And that's the great thing. If there's a slow grow for a game you're interested in, go hit it. Have a good time playing it, especially if it's something you already own stuff for, so you're not putting out a big outlay of money. And that's the big thing. You want to make sure that when you're taking a break, you don't just throw money at another game that you may not stay with after you come back. Try and play what you got, maybe, just see what's going on there. But maybe that is what you want to do. Maybe you're like, I want to get into this small scale game, something, Malifaux scale, something like X-Wing, where a couple of ships will do you, and you can buy one here or there, and they're not terribly expensive, and to keep you going. Armada's similar. You need less ships, and they're a little more expensive each, so it's kind of a toss-up there. Maybe you want to play, one of the non-collectible card games. Maybe you're like, oh, L5R just came out, I want to play that. Jump into that for a bit. But try not to do anything that's super expensive, especially if this is just as a palate cleanser while you're getting back into the swing of another game. For example, taking up 40K is probably not the best choice, but I got some good deals on stuff, so I did. I would be better off playing Infinity, but that one's not really piquing my interest. And you got to play something that piques your interest, because if it's not piquing your interest, you're gonna hurt yourself mentally because you're gonna be like, maybe I just don't like miniature gaming anymore. When really it's that you followed up something you weren't interested in playing, you want to take a break from, with something you weren't really feeling, and decided you basically took a break the wrong way. There are right ways, so you really got to sit down. And we like to make these snapfire decisions because that's what we do. We're gamers. We make quick decisions. Death clock's running and all that on our life. We got to keep going. But don't stop. Take some time. If you've got a significant other in your life, talk with them about it. See what they think, because money is a thing you both have to worry about. It's not unlimited supplies, unfortunately. Maybe they have some suggestions. Maybe they're like, oh, I think you spend enough money on hobbies, so as long as you're not spending more than you normally would, it's okay. Maybe they think that you should sell an army just to fund a new army. Space is also limited. Trust me, I know. I would like to take a good picture of this place I have that is very full of stuff. That's not counting my starters unit over at Not Brushhead Dave's place. So you got to take a lot of those into account. Again, I think the best suggestion is to just put it away somewhere you can get it in case something comes out. Like Company of Iron comes out and you're like, I want to play that. Boom, you've got your stuff nearby. You can grab it and go if you need to. Or a tournament comes up and you're just feeling it. Just grab it and go. Don't have unreal expectations of what's going to happen. Just, if you feel the need, go. You have it somewhere you can go and play. But make a smart decision on what you play in the meantime. Don't just all in on another game and spend tons of money for a game that you may not play much. Sometimes maybe not playing anything similar is a good idea. Like I said, board games are a good substitute. Video games sometimes. Card games if you're into that. Even if it's a collectible one, maybe you play Commander with your Magic the Gathering Commander with your buddies, and you've been slacking off that a bit for miniature games. Go play that a little bit. That's a fun little variant of Magic that's super cool to play. Maybe it's one of the the Star Wars LCG, Netrunner, Game of Thrones, one of those types of limited card games. Maybe board games, like I said, maybe role playing, maybe even video games. But sit down and really think about what you want to do, so you're not just hip firing and making a snap decision that ends up potentially hurting you in the future. Because it is a big deal, and you really want to make a smart decision that helps you. I don't want to say heal, but helps you get a good plow cleanser, helps you center yourself again, get your zen spot, and go. Now, once you've done that, you got to figure out the best way to come back into the game. And we love to just hip fire, come in, both guns blazing, and all in tournament, all this super competitive. But try to ease in. Try and show up at your hobby nights, where your buddies play. Maybe just show up a little bit, say hi to the guys, see how it's going, see what people are playing, get an idea how it's going, and then break your models out. Get some stuff you wanted to play, maybe you go to that caster who's your your warm, comfy blanket caster that you just enjoy playing, or maybe you just play something completely off the wall. Another point in this is that you gotta make a decision. You gotta ease back into it. I mean, you can try and jump all in both guns, like I said, but that's potentially gonna hurt you because you're rusty. You're gonna lose games. It's gonna happen. There's a lot of repetition that helps with these games, and not playing them. That's why War Machine Hordes is not a good casual game. It's not a good second game for you. It's a good main game for you. Everything else should be a second game because most of those other games, with the exception of Infinity, are easier to play. Thus, you have the less need of the whole motor memory. Just getting into the groove of it. But jump in slowly, try and get the groove of it again, and then maybe you find you're in. Maybe you find you came in too early. Well, then it's easy. Just put it away, take a break. Make another schedule for you to get back in. Like so, I sort of missed the train on Company of Iron. I went to buy it at the store. They didn't have any copies. I was a little disappointed. And then an opportunity came up to get a cool 40K model I've been looking at for a while at pretty much the same price as Company Iron, which was, basically like 50% off. So I took it. And so, I sort of missed the train, so I didn't break miles up for Company of Iron yet. After Christmas at some point, I'll be looking at getting it after the crazy season has calmed down and we're not, spending money on presents for everyone and we got some more money for ourselves. Or maybe I'll ask for Christmas, something like that. Who knows? Maybe the moms will get one for me. But in any case, I decided to take a break on that. So my first decision on when to come back was Company of Iron. But now that I missed that train, I've decided to wait for the theme list to sort of even out and all. I decided that's a good time to take a look. Wait till it seems like things are a little more even. A couple factions don't have as much theme support. I'd definitely be interested in coming back in if Mercs get a CID. That would be cool. I don't foresee it, but if they did, I would definitely consider that as a time to look at my models and come back in. But we'll see. You have to decide for yourself when it is. Maybe there's something upcoming. Maybe maybe you play Circle. You're taking a break and you heard about that new female Tharn caster that's coming out way in the future. You're like, when that model comes out, I'm back in. That's a good time to set a reminder for yourself to jump back in the game and take a look. But make those decisions so that way you're not just getting out and getting caught up in something else and forgetting that you did love this game at one point and just probably needed a break. I've seen many, many people take a break for family, kids, just something else, and be like, oh yeah, I sold all my stuff, I'm not really interested anymore. And then they see people playing because they've stopped by, and they're like, oh, no, I really was interested, I just didn't realize it. And it's kind of hurt them because they had stuff they loved, and now they got to start from scratch again, which is not terrible in this hobby, honestly. Building an army from scratch is sometimes super fun, but having to do it because you've sold everything for that game is not as fun. So I guess my point is plan out how you want to take your break and how you want to come back. Think it through. Don't just make snap decisions on it because it is an important decision. I think that's it for this extended topic. Next time, I'm going to talk about the 40K Slow Grow League I'm in because I enjoy talking about Slow Grow Leagues. So until next time, run! All right, movie section. We are chugging through these Marvel movies at a relatively ponderous rate, but I imagine I'll have these all done by February of next year, assuming no more come out. Probably just in time for Black Panther to hit and have to watch that and review it. But in any case, that'll be interesting having to watch some of the newer movies and judge them for my standard things. Which, if you're new to the podcast, I'm talking about my Avengers Initiative, where I'm watching all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in order and rating them not on the standard scale so much. I still give it a standard rating of Shots of Kraken, but I rated on rewatchability, nostalgia, storyline, the post-credit scenes, the Stan Lee cameo, the soundtrack, and for a while I was rating it on the one-shot, but those are a thing of the past, so no more one-shots. Rest in peace, one-shots. Alright, so Avengers Age of Ultron. For some reason, this movie is not as well liked as I think it should be. Like, honestly, it's crazy that it got sort of mediocre, high-ish reviews, but not great reviews. I thought it was almost as good as Avengers. It is one of my top 5 Marvel movies, honestly, and I really like it. It's really weird that it got such mediocre reviews. I'm trying to find the mediocre reviews. I probably should have gotten them beforehand. But the basic plot of the movie is, of course, the Avengers are back. They're fighting Hydra. And in fighting Hydra, they find the Scepter. They create Ultron. And then suddenly they've got to fight Ultron, and I really thought it was a good movie. I think I wrote here a note in my notes here. I really thought there was maybe one misstep in it, and it's really pretty much just the one scene where Widow and Banner are talking, and she implies that because she can't have kids, she's a monster, and I felt like that scene was handled really, really poorly. I feel like it should have been handled in such a way as, oh, because it shouldn't have been she was unwilling to. It should have been she was all in, she had it done, because she chose to give that up. She's a monster to be an assassin. She was a monster. That would have been a much better scene, but honestly, I'm not sure there is a way to write that scene well, and it probably should have just been edited around. That was probably the biggest misstep of the entire movie. Um, well, the overall reviews are solid. Age of Ultron's got a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is good. 83% for the audience, also pretty good. On Metacritic, which is a much more numbers don't get as high, let's say. It's got a 66, which is really positive. I mean, it's 36 positive reviews, 12 mixed, and 1 negative is really good. And then it's 7.1 out of 10 for the user score, which is all pretty good, but I feel like it's a much better movie than that. I think it actually suffers from the fact that Avengers existed, and it wasn't Avengers again. It's impossible to recatch that lightning in a bottle again. I mean, Justice League didn't do it. Spoiler, I just watched Justice League this week. It does not recapture the magic of Avengers. But there was no way it was going to, and it wasn't even trying to. But this movie, there was no way it was going to capture that magic of them getting together again. What I do feel like it did, I feel like it told a great story, had great camaraderie interaction and such between the characters, and really set the stage for the next whole phase of the Marvel Universe. So let's get on to the ratings, and I'll talk a little more about the stuff as we go for ratings. Rewatchability, I give it 0 shots of Kraken. I could watch that movie again right now. I enjoy the crap of it. Like I said, there's that one little scene with Widow and Banner that's just not up to par. The rest of them I really enjoy. Most of the cutout scenes are fine being cut out. Most of the cutout scenes are fine being cut out. It's really good. It's got great action scenes. It moves at a really fast pace. Doesn't treat you like an idiot. Doesn't overly spell things out, so it gives you an idea. Though it does lean kind of heavily on the let's avoid civilian casualties. But honestly, when you look at the first Avengers movie, they were doing that also. This is not just a reaction to Man of Steel and the horrible death tolls in that movie. Speaking of which, I will not be doing the entire DC Cinematic Universe thing. I don't hate myself that much. So nostalgia, 0 shots of Kraken because I like it exactly as much as I liked it before, maybe even more. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I could watch it again on a whim. I just like the movie front to back with that one tiny exception. Storyline, 0 shots of Kraken. It is a rare movie that can wrap up most of the extra storylines from. It wraps up everything from the first movie for the first movies that wasn't wrapped up. Most of that was actually it wraps up pretty well, but it also includes the TV series and starts to wrap up what the TV series did, what Agents of Shield did, with Hydra, splitting into factions. Shield was, Shield's no more. So I mean, I give it 0 shots of Kraken for that because it ties up, it integrates the TV series, and it sets up everything for the next bit. It sets the siege for Civil War. Sets a siege for a lot of things. So, I mean, it's really good. What can I say? Sorry, I warned you guys after Thor: The Dark World I was going to gush over movies pretty much nonstop because after this it just takes off. Post-credit scenes. I'm not going to super gush over this. I gave it 2 shots of Kraken. It's interesting, it's short and sweet. Thanos comes in, gets the Infinity Gauntlet. I'll do it myself. Like, okay, cool. That's a teaser. If you missed it in the theater, you really didn't miss anything important. But it is a good scene to see. Sort of sets up that, if Thanos is coming himself, he's not sending his punks anymore. And I feel like this was actually a double teaser. This sort of ties into this and Guardians of the Galaxy from last time because he had sent his punk to go get it, Ronan the Accuser, and didn't, so he's like, I'm doing it myself. So that's pretty good. 2 shots of Kraken for that. The Stan Lee cameo, 2 shots of Kraken. It's not bad. It's not the best. He's at the party. He's a veteran talking to Captain America, and Thor's got super Asgardian ale, and he's like, no, 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 give some here. We stormed the beaches of Normandy, and the next thing you know, he's being taken out because he couldn't handle it. So it's pretty funny. It fits into the party pretty well. It's a good way to get Stan Lee in a movie. It does not forced because they did a lot of party stuff there, and that party scene to go back there is actually pretty cool and pretty fun. A very enjoyable scene. It breaks the tension of the movie up and sets up these are all friends together hanging out. And finally, the soundtrack. I give it 2 shots of Kraken because while there's not any super memorable themes, it does incorporate the Avengers theme, which is reasonably memorable, into a lot of it, even though it's a different composer. And the tones in the Ultron sort of theme music, like in the beginning when it changes to a dark tone as it goes Avengers Age of Ultron. That's got some pretty good notes in there. It's worth a listen. Definitely not bad. And pretty good overall. Not as, forgettable as some of the rest. All right. Well, that covers that. Let's talk about overall rating. Overall rating, 0 shots of Kraken. Like I said, I'll watch the movie again at a moment's notice. I like it. It's in my top 5. With Avengers, the 2 Captain America sequels, and then God, the 5th one just be filled out with Iron Man, maybe Guardians, probably Iron Man. Yeah, probably Iron Man. So that'd be my top 5, but it's definitely one of the top tier Marvel movies. It's really good, and if you have a somewhat poor memory of it, I think you need to give it a rewatch and give it a new chance. Ron. All right, so that does it for another episode of Minis and Movies. Trying to keep these under 30 minutes, that way you guys can listen in a short burst and not me rambling on too long, because that happens occasionally. I might go back to the old Co-Host Corner 3-part, where I talk about War Machine of Hordes, then I talk about regular other mini games, and then I talk about a movie just to bulk it up a little bit so I'm not rambling so long on some of these, especially after I get done with the Avengers initiatives. So like I said, next time I'm going to talk about the 40K slow grow I'm in. I'm also going to talk about Ant-Man, another really good Marvel movie. Just in. They're all pretty good from here on out, as I've said. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us. If you have any ideas, hit me up on Twitter at John O. Spencer, or you can find me on Facebook, John Oakland Spencer, or you can find us More Than Dice a Podcast on Facebook, and you can email us at Gmail, and it is it is more.then.dice.a.podcast@gmail.com. So, if you wanted to hit us up there too for ideas or comments, I'd love to get both of those. Hit me up at any of those places. Until next time, Ron.